This is the HMCS Margaret Brooke 431. It's an Arctic offshore patrol vessel. Very big deal. There's 5 of these on the east coast and 2 on the west coast in Esquimalt. The HMCS Max Bernays just finished operations off Alaska in the waters up there.
Boat's out of the water.
I'm Damage Control Petty Officer and Machinery Supervisor. My role is to make sure the damage control equipment is correct and make sure the crew is ready to fight fires, floods, or whatever comes. It's great. We have a fabulous crew. One of the things I liked about submarines was a small crew and close-knit, and this crew is really good. Everyone works together to get the ship going and make the mission successful. There's all our different levels and decks. It's an Arctic offshore patrol vessel. We can break up to a meter thick of ice, and then we can patrol the Arctic for sovereignty, for humanitarian. We can do any offshore patrols. In a few months, we're going to be going on drug patrols. So it's blue because this ship has been above the Arctic Circle. Red is the equator, and yellow because it's been below the Antarctic Circle. Last spring, they went all the way to the Antarctic, the first Royal Canadian Navy in the Antarctic, and they did scientific research. They had 25 scientists on board, and they were gone, I think it was about 4 months. We do a lot of great things that I don't think people talk about. It is named for nursing sister Margaret Brooke, who was a nursing sister in World War II. Ship she was on, the SS Caribou, was torpedoed between Port aux Basques, Newfoundland, and North Sydney. She and her friend ended up in the water clinging to an overturned lifeboat. Her friend unfortunately passed away due to the cold water, but Margaret Brooke survived. She had a long career in the Navy. She was still alive when the ship was commissioned.
This is her lucky clover. She always wore a necklace with it, and her ashes are actually inside there.
The Navy is a great life. I'd urge anyone, young or old. I was 38 when I joined, and I'm loving it. Travel the world, I've been all many different places. When I was in Sicily, my grandfather, who was in the Royal Navy, was a coxswain on a landing craft. I always thought, oh, someday I'll get to D-Day where he was on June 6th. I was in Sicily, and I went down and got the beaches he was at when they invaded Sicily. That was some super memorable moments. I'm from the Sarnia area, and when we came up through the Great Lakes, I got to see my sons there waving at me under the bridge we passed by. It was one of the best days of my life ever. I really like working with the people. I'm Canadian. I'm made in Canada. So the flag, the maple leaf is true to my heart. And I love the adventure, I love the travel, the challenge, everything the Navy's brought to me. Friends, it's just a great life, really great life.
When you leave the Army, it's like leaving your family.
I've kept my military foot locker in here.
I felt very disconnected. When I had left the Army, I had all the skill sets, but nowhere to apply it. This is a unit citation that 3PPCLI had received for their time in Afghanistan. I was having issues with trying to find a place and a purpose in life. And so I decided to move up into Quesnel, BC to start farming. My name is Sergeant Cameron Tetro. I'm the patrol commander of the Quesnel Rangers, which is part of A Company of the 4th Canadian Ranger Patrol Group. Our role is to be lightly equipped, self-sufficient, highly mobile. We assist the Canadian Armed Forces with national security. We are the eyes and ears, the feet and hands of the community. We link between the municipalities and the Canadian Armed Forces.
Rangers, at ease!
I like to say that we're professionals first, soldiers second.
Oh!
My job is to gap them so that we become professional soldiers.
Rangers, attention! to your duties. Dismiss.
You come to us and we'll help you develop your skills. The people that we look for are people that are intimately knowledgeable of their area, from sheriffs to firefighters, a helicopter pilot, veterinarian, paramedics, registered nurses, and stay-at-home moms.
Also, we want to talk about just a recap, a review of the August President's Patrol. And we just want to make some clarification to understand what's going on and how we're going to move forward with it.
With the Rangers, I was able to regain that connection with a larger mission. It helped me reconcile what I had issues with when I left the Army. I have great mentors right now. I've never had a boss that actually cared so much. And so the Rangers have proven to me that there is a good branch that will help walk you through the job and doesn't leave you feeling like disconnected. So if you are thinking about joining any organization for service, Canadian Rangers is a great opportunity. If you want to be part of the bigger picture but don't know how to be, we're a great opportunity for that. We're not just an opportunity to provide something for the government, we're actually an opportunity to grow as a group, as friends, as co-workers, peers.
Most of these have, most of these are coming pretty well.
I was telling you about my friend in Germany, Dan DeCoste. This is him right here. Wow, I was only a 19-year-old soldier back then, and they were looking for volunteers to go to Egypt. And I said, wow, Egypt, fantastic. I get a chance to travel the world, see the pyramids, you know, ride a camel in the desert. I thought that'd be kind of neat. I had no idea what peacekeeping was specifically. So I learned a lot as a 19-year-old soldier what peacekeeping was all about. Before that, I had no idea. I thought I was going on a holiday. Because they said to me, you're going to go to Egypt. I said, great, the pyramids, the camels, the whole 9 yards. But I got an eye-opener, a shock in my life. When we landed in Cairo, the pilot said, stay in your seats, because there's some kind of ceremony going on outside the plane. So I looked outside the plane, and the conveyor belt was right where I was sitting, basically. And there was a coffin of a soldier being repatriated home. He had been killed on the mission that I was going on. At that very, very moment, I thought, wow, this is not a holiday. This is for real. People are dying. So the whole 6 months, 7 months I was there was, okay, let's keep this real. Let's soldier on. Peacekeeping Park is a piece of land, 2.5 acres roughly, and it has a representation of all our peacekeepers who made the ultimate sacrifice since 1950, I believe was the first one, to present, and has the names of every single one of them on there, plus all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan, 158, and then the 3 RCMP who were killed in Haiti. On August 9th is Peacekeepers Day all across Canada. It's like November 11th, except it's a smaller version, but it's still fairly big. Well, August 9th was the largest, biggest loss of peacekeepers in all given one school. At one given time, they were shot down by Syrian missiles up in Damascus, and this was in 1974. And so that was the largest, biggest loss of Canadian soldiers at any given time. And so that day became the day.
Today, August 9th, marks the 50th anniversary for what was the greatest loss of life in a single event for Canadian peacekeepers. It hits particularly close to home here in Angus, as 2 of the personnel who made the ultimate sacrifice, Master Warrant Officer Cyril Carriveau and Corporal Bruce Stringer, called Angus home.
On that wall, there's 9 names of those who were on that aircraft, the Buffalo aircraft, but 2 of those names were from Angus. Well, people want to remember the sacrifices that were made by our own troops, our own people. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go somewhere else and fight somebody else's battles and then possibly not come home again. And that happened more than once. And that's what the wall's all about. They sacrificed their lives for a better cause. They fought in another country to keep them safe because they know what we have here back in Canada, and they want them to have the same thing there. They want to enjoy that liberty. And so for them to sacrifice their lives like that, you just can't forget that. No. Remember what he's done and pay the respect due to that person who made that ultimate sacrifice. That's what this park's all about. I've got, I think it's 285 names on the wall, and every single one of them deserve our respect. This, to me, is sacred land. This is a sacred land. Our soldiers are there, and men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. Some of them are my friends I actually served with in the military. There, for the grace of God, I made it home safe. You know, I'm one of many who made it safe, but unfortunately they did not.
We each come with our own reasons to come here. For me, it was to kind of keep my connection to the military because it is a strong part of me. I served 16 years in the forces. That was home to me. And when you leave, they don't really expect for it to hit you as hard as being a loss, but it does. The museum, for me, it's home. We're not here to promote war, we're not here to promote any of that. It's just, we're here to educate.
Great maneuver by the Leopard. See the skill.
Tank Saturdays have been growing in population and in popularity just year by year. Our biggest one being Aquino, which is our weekend one that we host every year. We had tank rides going around. 2 brothers, one was in a wheelchair and one was able-bodied. And the able-bodied brother was able to go for a ride in one of our tanks. He got off the vehicle, smiling ear to ear, because it's not every day you get to go for a tank ride, especially when you're a young kid. And so he was very enthusiastic and happy. And then I looked over at his brother in the wheelchair, and it just, the expression broke my heart. We're not in the military here anymore. These are all museum pieces. If we can put people on the moon, we can put a wheelchair in a tank. So I'm like, well, now that bar's out of the way, now we have more room. We can push that more forward, and now it gives us more actual... I went to Jeremy Blores, the museum's executive director, and said, hey, this is a bit of a wild idea. This is something I think that might be something pretty cool for the museum to take on.
When Mitch came and was talking about his reasoning behind it, about the boy and his brother, and watching people come to our shows to experience and learn about military history and being left out, I just had to give it all the support that I possibly could. Even if it wasn't going to be a success, it was worth the effort, it was worth trying.
So I was given the thumbs up at the museum, and I was told, but it's going to be a large project. Why don't you take the lead? So I became the project manager for Project Uplift. This is our first prototype. We've already come up with ideas on how we want to tweak it and fix it and make it better. I found an engineer. They've been working on it for the last 2 years with us. It can take any style of wheelchair. To a certain extent, we had to realize there are some limitations because there are wheelchairs in all shapes and sizes and weights. We wanted to have that ability to make a patent for this so that we can protect and control it, then offer it to everyone else in the world.
I've already been contacted by 6 museums, 3 of them international. We will share freely, with these other institutions, plans, the safety procedures, and the entire package of Project Uplift at no cost. Canada, we're innovators. And even if you look in our military history, Canada has always been innovative. So being able to take this Canadian solution and have it used around the world to make a difference in people's lives and their experience of military history is incredibly exciting.
Every time I'm given a mission, it's a no-fail mission. You must achieve it. That's how I've always conducted my life. My goal was that someone in a wheelchair would go for a ride, get off that vehicle with a smile ear to ear, the exact same as you or I.
When we went overseas, we came back, nobody cared. It was during the Yom Kippur War in the Sinai Desert in Egypt. We had Canadians that were rotating in and out as peacekeepers there, and the mission lasted for 7 years. I was actually on the last plane load of Canadians because the mission had been completed. And because we were the last plane load, it was decided that there was going to be a press conference, and there was nobody there. It was just not a story that was worth sending reporters to. Now I look back on it and I say, it's a shame, because it was a story. During that mission, we lost 11 soldiers. 11 soldiers, peacekeepers, died during that mission. I saw a lot of things. I experienced some things that were very uncomfortable. When I came back, I was changed, and I was doing things that I normally wouldn't do. I think a lot of it I just sort of pushed down. Veteran Affairs has recognized the fact now, over 40 years later, that yeah, I came back and I had suffered from PTSD. You start thinking back on it and the things that happened, and I go, we were forgotten. We were forgotten by the military. I can't say that the public forgot about us in so much as they didn't know about us. So I think that's a difference. Most people now have become more aware. I'm starting to get recognized for what I did or acknowledged for what I did. It makes me emotional. In fact, I start to feel it now. I'm grateful, I think now, to the people that understand what I went through.
One person doesn't join the Canadian Forces because they want to do one thing. They join the Canadian Forces because it's a lifelong commitment. It's something that you do for the rest of your life type thing. I joined the Army to get rid of communists. I was actually in Germany when the Berlin Wall came down and they gave up. So my first posting, I actually accomplished what I meant to do when I joined the forces. I joined the forces because that was a bad thing in the world at the time. I wanted to do something about it. And communism was a problem back then. The big big bad Russian boogeyman with his finger on the button. You know, we don't live under the same shroud of nuclear apocalypse that we did in the 80s. I liked living in different regions. I liked living with different people. I lived for a time in New Brunswick. It was fantastic in New Brunswick. They have a whole different mindset with their society and their life. Kitchen parties are so much more meaningful in New Brunswick than they are anywhere else in Canada. I spent over 5 years of my career completely out of Canada. I had a different opinion of Remembrance Day and why we do that. And then when I went to Bosnia, I come back a changed person. Despite it not being terrifically hazardous, and I couldn't have foreseen that we were going to have any sort of action in Afghanistan afterwards. I can tell you that the time between Bosnia and Afghanistan, that was 4 years, and in that time frame, I did a lot of thinking, we did a lot of living, we did a lot of things out of the way that we didn't think that we might be able to do afterwards. And then I went to Afghanistan, and I come back a completely changed person. So there was no illusion. There was a war being fought. I was going over there to do my job. The most life-changing thing that happened actually just happened on the 24th of September, and that's just gone past the anniversary of it. And that was when we were in a sustained attack and we lost Nathan Hornberg. He was killed in action not 20 feet away from me. Those things, you can't go through life without having something like that change you or affect you, or you're not the same person, and it's a very different place to be. So it's very easy to come back to this country, back to Canada, the greatest country in the world, and see how easy it is to live here. Out of all the stuff that I did overseas, that was what made it worthwhile, is coming back. Remembrance Day today means something different than what it does, and I go to schools around Remembrance Day, and I speak to the kids because I never knew anybody before that had ever been killed or even affected slightly by the war. Any wars that we'd ever competed in, or peacekeeping or anything. So I flashed on the edge of my presentation, I showed them some pictures, and I pointed out, these are the 12 guys that were killed on my rotation in Afghanistan. I said, now you know somebody. And I hope you guys will help me remember them. So Remembrance Day is different for me now because I know somebody to remember. I've lost buddies. I've got a personal contact with it.